In the shadowed foothills of the Arklay Mountains, a storm raged as the Stars Alpha Team approached the long-abandoned Spencer Mansion. Their comrades in Bravo Team had vanished here, swallowed by silence. Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, and the others stepped through the creaking doors with weapons drawn, hearts pounding. Inside, the air reeked of death. Blood painted the halls. Then came the first moan. A shambling corpse in a torn uniform lunged from the darkness, eyes vacant, jaws snapping. Gunfire echoed as more horrors awoke. Hellish dogs bursting through windows, grotesque mutants crawling from the shadows. Deeper they delved, solving the mansion's sinister puzzles, uncovering Umbrella's forbidden laboratory, the T-virus, a plague born of greed, turning flesh into monsters. Barry's loyalty wavered under hidden threats. Chris uncovered files that chilled the soul. And Captain Wesker, his smile in the flickering candlelight hid something far worse. In the lab's depths, the truth clawed free. Betrayal, a towering tyrant unleashed, and the mansion set to burn in purifying flames. With the undead horde closing in, the survivors raced for the helipad, the ground shaking as explosions lit the night sky. They escaped with their lives, but the nightmare had only just begun. Umbrella's evil still whispered from the ruins. Resident Evil 2. In the dead of night, rookie cop Leon Kennedy drove into Raccoon City. His first day on the force, already drenched in horror. The streets were a slaughterhouse, shrieking citizens devoured by hordes of the living dead. Gun in hand, he met Claire Redfield, desperately searching for her brother Chris. Together they fought through the burning ruins toward the last safe haven, the Raccoon Police Station. Inside its blood-smeared halls, new nightmares waited. Lickers clung to ceilings, ready to drop. A towering, trench-coated monster called Mr. X hunted them relentlessly, smashing through walls with unstoppable force. In the station's depths, they found young Sherry Birkin, orphaned and terrified, clutching a mysterious pendant. The truth clawed its way out in the underground labs. Umbrella's G-virus, far deadlier than the T-virus. Dr. William Birkin, mutated into a grotesque abomination, pursued them with savage hunger, his body twisting through horrifying forms. Amid the chaos, enigmatic spy Ada Wong appeared, her motives as sharp and hidden as her heels. With the city collapsing and Mr. X closing in for the kill, Leon, Claire, and Sherry raced for the underground station. Explosions lit the sky as Raccoon City was consumed behind them. They escaped with their lives, but the virus had already slipped into the world beyond. The horror was spreading. Resident Evil 3: Nemesis. In the dying hours of Raccoon City, Jill Valentine barricaded her apartment as the nightmare spilled into the streets. The T-virus had consumed everything. As she fled into the chaos, a hulking silhouette crashed through the wall. Nemesis. A towering bioweapon in a black trench coat, its grotesque face twisted with one purpose: eliminate all surviving STARS members. STARS, it growled, before unleashing rockets and relentless pursuit. Jill ran through burning alleys and overrun subways, narrowly escaping the monster's grasp. She crossed paths with Brad Vickers, only to watch him die screaming in Nemesis's claws. Desperate, she linked up with Carlos Oliveira, a soldier from Umbrella's own UBCS unit, who began to question his employer's true intentions. Together, they fought through the nightmare. Zombie-infested hospitals, swarms of mutated horrors, and the relentless Nemesis, which evolved into even deadlier forms each time Jill thought she had destroyed it. In the Gothic Raccoon Clock Tower, they uncovered a vaccine for the virus, but time was running out. As the US government prepared to erase the city with a nuclear strike, Jill faced the final monstrous transformation of her hunter atop the collapsing streets. She escaped by helicopter just as the horizon lit up in apocalyptic fire. Raccoon City was gone, but Nemesis's legacy and Umbrella's evil lived on. Resident Evil, Code Veronica. In the frozen grip of a remote prison island, Claire Redfield awoke to the sound of sirens and slaughter. Captured while hunting for her brother Chris, she found herself in the middle of another Umbrella nightmare. Rockfort Island had fallen. The dead rose once more. Armed with scavenged weapons, Claire fought through the blood-soaked base and met Steve Burnside, a cocky young prisoner with his own dark secrets. Together they battled hordes of zombies, grotesque insects, and the island's sadistic overseer, Alfred Ashford, whose twisted games grew more unhinged by the hour. A daring escape by plane led them to the icy wastes of Antarctica, where an even greater horror slept. There in the bowels of an underground facility, the legendary Alexia Ashford had awakened, transformed by the Veronica virus into a godlike, flame-wielding monstrosity. Her brother Alfred's obsession had birthed something apocalyptic. As the facility crumbled, Chris Redfield finally arrived, guns blazing, to save his sister. But Albert Wesker stood in the way, faster and stronger than ever, his superhuman power on full display. In a desperate final stand against Alexia's nightmarish final form, brother and sister fought side by side. They escaped the collapsing base by the skin of their teeth, the Antarctic flames lighting up the polar night. The Redfields were reunited, but the shadow of Umbrella and the deadly Veronica virus loomed larger than ever. Resident Evil Zero. In the stormy Arklay Mountains, STARS Bravo team's helicopter spiraled down in flames. Young medic Rebecca Chambers survived and boarded the derailed Ecliptic Express, only to find it crawling with the dead. A sudden swarm of grotesque leeches attacked, turning passengers into monsters. There, she crossed paths with Billy Cohen, a handcuffed death row soldier convicted of heinous crimes. Something about him didn't add up. With the train now a rolling coffin, the unlikely pair joined forces, fighting through blood-drenched cars as leech-infested horrors and undead soldiers closed in. Their investigation led them to an abandoned training facility once run by Umbrella's Dr. James Marcus. There, dark truths surfaced. The T-virus was born from Marcus's twisted experiments, and his loyal leech swarm still carried out his vengeful will. A massive leech-controlled tyrant pursued them relentlessly, while Rebecca began to question Billy's guilt and her own team's orders. As the facility descended into chaos, the pair battled nightmarish mutations and uncovered Umbrella's rot at its core. With the building set to explode, Rebecca and Billy fought their way out, the flames consuming the evidence behind them. They parted ways in the shadows, one a wanted man, the other a survivor with dangerous knowledge. The mansion waited just ahead, and the real nightmare was only beginning. Resident Evil 4. Elsewhere, in a remote, fog-shrouded region of Spain, Leon S. Kennedy arrived on a grim mission: rescue the president's kidnapped daughter, Ashley Graham. What greeted him was no ordinary hostage situation. A once peaceful village had become a nightmare of fanatical cultists infected by a parasitic organism known as Las Plagas. Eyes glowing with madness, they wielded axes, pitchforks, and chainsaws. From the moment Leon stepped into the crumbling hamlet, the horde attacked with terrifying intelligence. A towering madman with a chainsaw nearly ended him in seconds. Deeper in the Gothic castle looming above, Leon finally found Ashley. but escaping with her proved far deadlier than finding her. Relentless pursuers, monstrous beasts, and the cult's leader, Osmond Sadler, toyed with them at every turn. Old allies reappeared in the strangest ways. Ada Wong returned with her own agenda, while former comrade Jack Krauser revealed a treacherous new allegiance. In the depths of a remote island research facility, the true horror of Las Plagas unfolded as Leon and Ashley fought mutated horrors, armored giants, and invisible regenerators that would not stay dead. As Sadler's grotesque final form rose above the exploding island, Leon faced his greatest test yet. With Ashley safe in his arms and the helicopter lifting off into the burning sky, they barely escaped with their lives. But the shadowy organization behind the cult still watched from the darkness. The nightmare had taken a new, more sophisticated shape. Resident Evil 5. In the sun-scorched heart of Africa's Kaijuju region, Chris Redfield arrived with BSAA agent Shiva Alomar to investigate a new bioterror threat. What they found was hell itself. The locals, now savage Majini, attacked in hordes with machetes in sheer numbers, their bodies twisted by a new parasitic horror known as Ouroboros. As Chris and Shiva fought through blood-soaked villages, abandoned oil refineries, and ancient underground temples, the trail led straight to Chris's past. Albert Wesker had returned, stronger, faster, and more godlike than ever, working with Tricell to unleash a viral apocalypse. In a devastating twist, they discovered Jill Valentine, long thought dead, alive but enslaved by a controlling device on her chest, forced to fight against her former partner. Battles grew increasingly nightmarish. Giant mutated beasts, swarms of parasitic insects, and Wesker's cold, superhuman cruelty. With time running out before Ouroboros could spread across the globe, Chris and Shiva pursued their enemy into the heart of a volcanic research facility. There, in a cataclysmic final confrontation, old wounds were settled. Wesker's monstrous final form clashed against human defiance as the volcano erupted around them. Barely escaping the flames and falling rock, Chris and Shiva watched their nemesis seemingly perish in the inferno. The world had been saved once more, but the shadows of Umbrella's legacy stretched further than ever. Resident Evil 6. In the ashes of tall oaks, President Adam Benford lay dead, torn apart by the undead during a terrifying bioterror attack. Leon S. Kennedy, now a seasoned agent, teamed with rookie Secret Service agent Helena Harper to uncover the truth behind the C virus, a horrifying new plague that mutated victims into intelligent, weapon-wielding monsters known as Javo. Half a world away, in the neon-drenched streets of Lanxiang, China, Chris Redfield led his BSAA squad into another nightmare. Haunted by guilt and loss, he fought alongside Pierce Nivans against swarms of the infected and colossal bows that leveled entire city blocks. Meanwhile, Jake Muller, the son of Albert Wesker, reluctantly joined forces with Sherry Birkin to survive relentless pursuits by mercenaries and mutated horrors, carrying antibodies that could change everything. As the chaos spread globally, the shadowy hand of Neo Umbrella and corrupt puppet master Derek Simmons pulled the strings. Ada Wong moved through the shadows, her true motives veiled as always. From zombie-infested universities and crashing airplanes to underwater facilities and war-torn cities, the four stories collided in an explosive tapestry of betrayal, sacrifice, and unrelenting horror. In the final stand, humanity teetered on the brink as a nightmarish leviathan rose from the depths. With bullets spent and cities burning, the survivors escaped into an uncertain dawn. The world had survived, but at a terrible cost. The age of bioterror had truly begun. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. In the swamps of Dulvey, Louisiana, Ethan Winters received a desperate video from his missing wife, Mia. 3 years after her disappearance, he followed her trail to an abandoned plantation house, its walls rotting and stained with old blood. What waited inside was pure madness. The Baker family greeted him with grotesque hospitality. Jack, the towering patriarch, hacked and laughed through impossible wounds. Marguerite, his insect-obsessed wife, skittered through the walls like a nightmare. Their deranged son, Lucas, toyed with victims in deadly traps. The house itself seemed alive, crawling with the mold, a fungal horror that twisted flesh and mind. Ethan fought for survival with whatever he could find: a shotgun, a chainsaw, a flamethrower. Videotapes left by previous victims revealed the true source of the evil: Eveline, a little girl who was never human. An E-series bioweapon designed by the Connections. She controlled the Bakers like puppets, spreading her infection with a single touch. As the mansion descended into chaos and Mia's own terrifying secret emerged, Ethan faced grotesque molded creatures and the Baker family's relentless, regenerating fury. In the depths of an abandoned salt mine, the nightmare reached its climax against Eveline's monstrous true form. With the help of a mysterious military squad and the timely arrival of Chris Redfield, Ethan barely escaped the burning ruins, carrying Mia to safety. But the mold had already slipped into the world, and something far worse was awakening. Resident Evil Village. In the snow-choked mountains of Romania, Ethan Winters' world shattered once more. A quiet life with Mia and their infant daughter Rose ended in gunfire when Chris Redfield stormed their home, killed Mia, and vanished with the baby. Waking in a remote, besieged village, Ethan found himself hunted by savage lichens under a blood moon. The villagers whispered of 4 monstrous lords who ruled under the immortal Mother Miranda. Desperate to rescue Rose, Ethan entered their nightmarish domains. In Castle Dimitrescu, the elegant and towering Lady Dimitrescu and her bloodthirsty daughters toyed with him like prey. In the misty Beneviento house, hallucinations and a demonic doll drove him to the brink of madness. The grotesque Lord Moro lurked in poisoned waters, while the cunning Karl Heisenberg offered a dangerous alliance amid his army of metal beasts. Each lord guarded a piece of Rose's power, a gift from the mold. At the heart of the horror, Ethan uncovered Mother Miranda's centuries-old plan to revive her long-dead daughter using Rose as a vessel. Betrayals and brutal truths about his own infected body surfaced as the village burned. In a final, desperate stand against Miranda's godlike form, Ethan fought with everything he had left. With Chris's squad providing distant support and the village collapsing into flame and snow, Ethan made the ultimate sacrifice so his daughter could live. The nightmare ended in fire and frost, but the Winters' legacy and its connection to the mold had only just begun. Resident Evil Requiem. In the misty ruins of a forgotten Midwestern city, FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft arrived at the derelict Wrenwood Hotel to investigate a gruesome death. The victim bore strange black marks, echoes of Raccoon City Syndrome, a lingering curse from the T-virus. Inside the blood-stained halls where her mother Alyssa had been murdered years earlier, Grace uncovered horrors she could never have imagined. Abducted by the obsessive former Umbrella scientist Victor Gideon, Grace awoke in a sealed hospital of nightmares. Stalked by a towering, light-fearing mutant known only as the Girl, she crept through darkened corridors, solving desperate puzzles while zombies rose around her. Meanwhile, veteran DSO agent Leon S. Kennedy, himself infected and racing against his own deterioration, blasted through the outbreak with guns blazing, hunting for the missing analyst. Their paths crossed in chaos as Victor unleashed a new strain of terror. Seeking the legendary Elpis, Oswell E. Spencer's final creation, allies and betrayals emerged in the quarantined wreckage of Raccoon City itself, where old ghosts and a shadowy connections agent named Zeno waited in the depths of a hidden Ark facility. As the facility crumbled in flames and monstrous final forms rose, Grace confronted the truth of her past while Leon fought for one last stand. With the world on the brink of a new viral age, they escaped into the dawn carrying humanity's fragile hope. But the requiem for the dead may have awakened something far worse.